Straightforward conversations, no filters, beyond the headlines, just the facts. This is the Newsmaker. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tristan Udalo, and joining us for this exclusive interview is Japanese Ambassador to the Philippines, Endo Kazuya. Ambassador Endo, thank you for your time. How are you?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me, Tristan. It's a great honor for me to be with this interview.
Well, we feel honored too for granting this interview. But let me begin with this, sir. Let's start with the big picture. How would you describe the current direction of Philippine-Japan relations now?
Okay. I think our relationship with the Philippines is in a very excellent stage, and we are expanding and deepening our cooperation very steadily. And particularly in the economic field, we have lots of ongoing projects in the Philippines, and at the same time, we are also deepening the security field cooperations, and we are very much happy with that.
Okay, I want to go little by little on the specific sectors or aspects of Philippine-Japan relations. But when you say that the Philippine-Japan relations is growing, which do you think is the current highlight of that particular relationship?
Actually, I think on the 23rd of July this year, when we celebrated the 69th anniversary of our diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Japan, I contributed a message titled Friendship Woven in Trust. And I think there are so many threads, beautiful threads, being woven into tapestry. And we have a very wide range of fields where we cooperate very closely. And at the same time, we have a very deepening ground for our cooperations. And the current height is that we can see the frequency of high-level exchanges between our two countries. Just let me give you an example. Earlier this year, starting in January, when our Foreign Minister Iwaya made a visit to the Philippines. In February, Defense Minister Nakatani also made the visit to the Philippines. And in March, so many Filipino cabinet secretaries made the visit to Japan. And also in April, our Prime Minister Ishiba, and our Minister for Land, Infrastructure, Transportation also made a visit here. In May, it was the turn for the Foreign Minister Manalo then, to make a visit to Japan. And it's just monthly, every month base, very close engagement at the cabinet ministers level or above. And that shows that we are working very closely with each other and are working on very different topics.
Okay. Now, speaking of different topics, sir, allow me to go to one of the important sectors of aspects of Philippine-Japan relations, which is defense and security. Just in the recent years and months, we've seen how that part of relationship actually grow. But for you, sir, are you satisfied with the defense and security cooperation of Philippines and Japan, or is Japan working to improve it, strengthen it more with the Philippines?
I think we are very much glad to see steady growth progresses in our security defense cooperations with the Philippines. And it was shown very symbolically when we signed the reciprocal access agreement in July 2024. And that agreement will be entering into force quite soon. And with that, we will be having more joint exercises, more activities for humanitarian assistance, and we are also having some transfer of defense equipment from Japan to the Philippines. We have already transferred our patrol planes as well as the surveillance radars to the Philippines. And we are still working on various other programs, including our official security assistance to the Philippines. And we are very much glad to see the steady progresses that we have achieved so far.
All right, just to pick up of what you said on the RA, which wills entry into force or will take effect on September 11, Ambassador. So when you say it will enter into force, can we expect Japanese troops visiting the Philippines more frequently after that period or within the year? What can we expect after that entry into force?
As you mentioned, the RAA will be entering into force on September 11th, and just recently, on the 12th of August, we had the ceremony for the exchange of not-verbals between Japan and the Philippines, participated by both Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Secretary of Defense on the Philippine side, and we were very glad to have that ceremony recently. And I would like to refrain from entering into the details of our plans or discussions related to the joint exercises to be held in the future, because those matters are being worked out along the course. But I would like to also emphasize that even before the entry into force of RIA, there are already lots of joint activities between the Philippines and Japan. This year alone, in the first 6 months of this year, we have already seen 11 Japan Self-Defense Forces vessels making a port visit to the Philippines. Japanese Self-Defense Forces are regular members of the so-called maritime cooperative activities. And we've been working very closely with the armed forces of the Philippines, even before the entry into force of the RIA. And with regard to the port visit of the Japan Self-Defense Forces vessels, in June, late June, JS Ise has made a visit to the Philippines, and on board of which we, the embassy, had the honor of organizing the reception for the 71st anniversary of the Japan Self-Defense Forces. And it was a great symbolic way of showing our growing cooperations and engagement between the two countries in the field of security and defense.
Okay, so is it also right to expect that there will be more activities or port visits from Japanese armed forces or military in the coming months?
I can't simply compare the numbers, but we are also expecting even more deeper engagement between the two forces through the RAA, and we also expect that there will be growing cooperations between the two sides.
All right. So beyond the RAA, is Japan and the Philippines also considering more agreements in the defense and security side? For example, you've announced the acquisition agreement during the visit of the Prime Minister. But do we expect anything that would be finalized within the short term?
As you mentioned, during our Prime Minister's visit to the Philippines at the occasion of the leaders' meeting with President Marcos, the two leaders announced that we will be starting the formal negotiations of AXA, acquisition and cross-servicing agreement between the two sides. And also, they have also started, they have agreed to start the discussions related to the potential agreement on the information security between the two sides. And those are important next steps that we can take on the basis of reciprocal access agreement. And because the negotiation is now ongoing, so I wouldn't like to comment too much detail on that, but I would like to have the AXA negotiations to be concluded at the earliest possible timing.
Earliest possible timing. You've also mentioned about the transfer of equipment under the RAA, which is already been in progress, if that is correct. And when do we expect this equipment to arrive in the Philippines?
Defense equipment transfer is not necessarily directly linked to the reciprocal access agreement. And the Japanese, for example, air surveillance radar system has already been transferred to the Philippines, and some of those procurement processes still ongoing, but I've also been to some of the sites where Japan-made air surveillance radar system has already been deployed. And it is, again, another very important progress in our defense cooperations.
How about talks? Because I'm asking this question because the Philippines and the U.S. Have this agreement when it comes to missile deployment. I'm sure you're aware of that. Is that something that the Philippines and Japan will also consider in the future, deploying more, let's say, a missile system?
I don't think that we can comment on that. And the U.S. capabilities and the Japan's capabilities in this field is also quite different. And we are working with the Philippine side with regard to the maritime domain awareness mainly. And I think it's very important for us to work on those concrete steps forward.
Okay. Exploring the strengths of each country so you can contribute to the capabilities of your partner. Now, I want to go to the current situation in the West Philippine Sea. As you all know, last week or a few days ago, there is an incident again in the West Philippine Sea, particularly in Scarborough Shoal, that led to the collision of two Chinese ships. And just a few days after, there's a dangerous maneuvering of a Chinese fighter jet over a Philippine aircraft. You know, these repeated incidents, how does Japan view this continuing aggressive activities in the West Philippine Sea?
Japan's position over this issues surrounding South China Sea is firm and consistent. And for example, on the various forums where I participated in, including the one to celebrate the 9th anniversary of the arbitral award, I've also mentioned that Japan is very much concerned about the ongoing provocations or escalations of the tensions in that sea area. And at the same time, we are very much firm that the rule of law or rules-based international order in the maritime sphere is quite significant and very much of the foundation of the stability and prosperity in this region. And in that sense, Japan, the government of Japan appreciates the position of the Philippine government in committing to the peaceful resolution of the dispute, in adhering to the arbitral award. And in that sense, we are quite supportive to the position of the Philippines.
All right, but despite the expression of support of Japan and other countries, with the Philippines, and yet these incidents are happening, what do you think? What do you think these countries or like-minded countries should still do to at least minimize potential miscalculation at sea?
I think it's very important for the like-minded countries to show its resolute commitment to the rule of law in the maritime sphere. And one of the concrete efforts that has been taken by the like-minded partners is the maritime cooperative activities that has been frequently conducted in the last 1 year and some months. And every time the worrying incident took place in the field, like-minded partners also expressed its own positions over those incidents. That is also a message that has been sent out individually as well as collectively by the like-minded partners. And those efforts are needed to continue, I think, in the future.
Okay, but you have China saying that other parties should not involve themselves in regional security matters, and instead allow countries that are part of the issue to settle it among themselves. So, how would you respond to this kind of accusation that parties outside of the conflict or the issue are interfering with the problem?
Although Japan is not a claimant, but we still recognize ourselves being an important stakeholder on this matter. And we think that we will continuously maintain our consistent positions over this matter.
All right. And one striking part of your speech during the Arbitral Award anniversary was when you also highlighted the need for ASEAN to actually conclude the South China Sea Code of Conduct. The Philippines has been very vocal of its intention to conclude it once we become the chair of ASEAN next year. But what is your hope when it comes to the Code of Conduct? Do you want it to be legally binding?
Thank you very much. I think it is very important for the Code of Conduct to be not only effective and substantive, but also fully consistent with the existing international law, particularly UNCLOS. That's number one. And also, I think that it is very important for the COC to respect all the legitimate rights and interests of all the stakeholders involved in this matter. And I would like to see that progresses in the future. And Japan, as an important stakeholder in this region, watching the situation and the development surrounding the COC very closely.
Okay. Now allow me to shift from defense and security to economic, which is also one of the strengths of Philippine-Japan relations. Japan continues to be the top source of the government of the Philippines' assistance funds or program. Maybe what are is Japan's priorities evolving in terms of this kind of assistance?
Japan has been a long-term supporter or partner of the infrastructure development of the Philippines. And that is very well known to the Filipino friends as well. We have been implementing lots of projects, including the railway systems, roads, constructions, or flood management projects as well. And recent ongoing projects include the Metro Manila subway construction, north-south commuter railways, or the Davao City bypass constructions. And all those, I hope, will be making contributions to the betterment of the lives of the Filipino people, thereby strengthening the national capability of the Philippines to make further contributions to the region. And our ODA cooperation has also been quite wide-ranged. It's not only in the field of infrastructure development in the hardware field, but also we've been working with the human resource development, and that's, I think, also a very important matter. And our ODA also evolves naturally with the change of the priority areas, with the change of the economic situation in the Philippines. And we are also quite happy to see that one of the key areas focus is contributing to the sustainable solutions to the global issues, global challenges, including climate change mitigation. And I understand that some of our programs or initiatives, such as Asia Zero Emission Community or the joint crediting mechanisms, are very much important for the efforts, for our shared efforts in this field. And we would like to push for that.
Allow me to ask this question because it is a very, although this is a domestic issue, but just in case you want to share your thoughts, because just recently you've mentioned about flood initiatives that Japan and the Philippines are working on, but we have been dealing with issues of corruption over this flood projects. Billions of pesos are being spent, and yet, you know, people don't really benefit from it. Even the president himself exposed these activities. Does it somehow raise a concern for stakeholders like Japan, who is also helping the Philippines to be more economic resilient, disaster resilient, and yet you have this kind of issues hounding these projects?
I should refrain from commenting on the domestic affairs directly, but I think that flood management or flood control is really an important area, one of the most important areas for us to work with the Philippine government. And the Japanese government, through JICA's funding, have been working with the Philippine side, for example, for the improvement of Pasig Marikina rivers for so many years, actually more than 25 years. And we have seen lots of progresses or development, with at least with regard to those specific projects that we've been engaged in. And I hope that with the shared efforts, endeavors by all the stakeholders, again, in the domestic context, also with the international partners, I hope that the flood-related issues will be addressed properly in the near future.
Thank you, Ambassador, for answering that. Now, another highlight of the economic relationship of Japan and the Philippines, together with the U.S., is the Luzon Economic Corridor. Could you share, is there any progress with that kind of, on that aspect of relationship, and what else can we expect for the Luzon Economic Corridor?
The Luzon Economic Corridor concept or the program has been established in the trilateral summit meetings held last year. And I think it's a very unique framework for the three countries to work on. And I hope that we can continuously see the progresses involved. On the Japanese side, as I mentioned, we've been working on the North-South commuter railway projects. That's all already be very important contributions from the Japanese side to improving the connectivities on the Luzon Island. And we hope that we can expand our cooperations in the future.
Speaking of expanding, does it mean also expanding with other partners, not just the US and the Philippines, about involving other countries, let's say South Korea, Australia, who are also supportive of this initiative?
We are aware of various partners' intentions, but with regard to the concrete matters, I think that should be first discussed in the framework of the three countries.
All right. Ambassador, from economic, another important part of our relationship is the people-to-people exchanges. How do you see this relationship grow? Well, at least since you assumed your post, this people-to-people ties and exchanges.
Oh, thank you very much. I think with regard to the people-to-people exchanges, there are, again, lots of areas that we can work with the Filipino friends. Particularly, since I came to the Philippines, I was very much impressed by the strong enthusiasm shared by so many Filipino friends for choosing Japan as a travel destination. Last year, around 820,000 Filipino friends made a visit to Japan. Again, it's a record high number. Our embassy also issued more than 500,000 visas to our Filipino friends. Again, a record high number. And I would like to encourage even more Filipino friends to make a visit to Japan and explore our beauties or cultural diversities in our own country. And tourism plays a very important role for the mutual understanding between the two countries. And in addition to that, there are lots of Filipino friends, particularly the young people, to be sent to Japan for the studies, for example. We also have various programs to be providing some scholarships to the young generations of the Philippines to study in Japan. And we, in addition to that, we also have the JET program, sorry, I forgot the abbreviation,
Yes,
but JET program,
JET program.
where Filipino people go to Japan as assistant language teachers, for example, and after they spent a year or two, I think there are lots of moving stories, inspiring ones, for them to engage with the local communities. And I was very much inspired by the wide range of interchanges between the two sides.
All right. Ambassador, but is there a plan to expand this scholarship or labor mobility programs that Japan is offering to Filipinos?
We have been steadily implementing various programs. And for example, with regard to the JET program, last year we have dispatched around 140 JET participants to Japan, which is really a remarkable number. So we are steadily growing various programs.
Okay, Ambassador Endo, the Japan Embassy has rolled out several initiatives to better improve the visa application for Filipinos wanting to go to Japan. But of course, the usual question that I'm sure you've been getting a lot on, are there any plans to ease travel requirements for Filipinos who are still interested in visiting Japan?
Yes, as I mentioned, we are trying to encourage even more Filipino friends to make actual visits to Japan, and we are happy to see lots of Filipino friends very interested in choosing Japan as their holiday travel destinations. And our embassy has established Japan Visa Center last April in order to better service the Filipino friends to get visas from our government. At this stage, I would like to refrain from predetermining the prospects of Japan visa requirements for Filipinos, as well as concrete plans on what steps we can take in the future. Nevertheless, we are in the position to continuously encourage more Filipino friends, and that is, I believe, the very foundation of a mutual trust, friendship between the two countries.
All right, Ambassador. Now we go to let's go vice versa. The Japanese visitors going to the Philippines. There is an incident recently about 2 Japanese nationals. While we will not go on the details of what happened, but how is Japan and the Philippines working together to ensure the safety of Japanese nationals also visiting the Philippines?
The embassy has been sharing relevant information to the local Japanese residents in the Philippines, as well as to the visitors from Japan to the Philippines. And we, or I myself, have been in close touch with relevant high-level officials in the Philippine government related to the maintenance of the security, of the improvement of the public safety in this country. And we will continue to work on that matter, and we should be sharing the relevant information at a timely manner with the Japanese visitors and the Japanese residents here.
Okay, Ambassador, allow me to go a bit personal now. After answering all the
Okay.
all the other issues, let's go a bit
Okay,
lighter,
okay,
Ambassador.
okay.
But since you assumed your post, how is Manila treating you so far?
Very good, in one word.
Okay.
And I've been very much impressed by the friendliness, openness of the Filipino friends. And since I came to the Philippines, I've been so much welcomed by so many Filipino friends to Japan, and it's been a great honor and privilege to really feel the Philippine brand of hospitality in this country. And at the same time, I've had so many chances to make a visit to various regions, places in the Philippines. And I've also been very much impressed by the diversity of the cultures, natural beauties of this country. And that's something that I would also like to share with my fellow Japanese. And I would like to continue to make a visit to various regions. Recently, I also made a visit to General Santos and South Cotabato, where hardworking Filipinos are working on agricultural sector or at the fish ports. And I think it's very important for us also to fully understand the real situation in various parts of the Philippines. And for the embassy, it is our important responsibility to convey the appropriate information related to the Philippines back to our headquarters. And I would also like to share those informations to our fellow Japanese friends so that we can further deepen our mutual understandings between our two nations.
And with all those engagements and interactions with many Filipinos from different parts of the country, Mm. Can you cite like anything, any story that you know really made an impact on you when you were visiting them or engaging with them?
Oh. It's very difficult to pick up just one episode or experience, but almost every day, our lives, I think it's not only my life in the Philippines, but also many of our colleagues at the embassies or JICA offices or our, sorry, I couldn't think of just one.
No, I can ask that question again. Maybe the most recent one. Just on that final question, Ambassador, any encounter or a story that you know really made an impact on you when you made those visits?
When I made a visit to Baguio or Davao, I've met with so many Japanese Filipino community there. Baguio and Davao has been the place where Japanese migrants moved to the Philippines so many years ago, more than a century ago. And they've been there, and their engagement with the local community or their stories have been quite inspiring. And at the same time, between the Philippines and Japan, we have even longer history of engagement dating back to 15th century, at least. So I think it's very important for us to recognize the long-term efforts of our predecessors and of our fellow Filipinos, fellow Japanese, who have made tremendous efforts and contributions to make the Philippine-Japan relationship as what it is now. And we, at least I pay respect to all the efforts made by all the predecessors in both countries of this of ours, and I would like to build upon all those basis foundations to further deepen the ties between our two countries.
Thank you for sharing that story. And as a final note, your favorite Filipino food, what is it?
Sisig?
Sisig.
Sisig after my terrible play of golf with beer.
And as I told you, there are many versions of sisig, and I do hope when you travel more to the Philippines, you'll get to experience the many versions of sisig, but in moderation.
Yeah, so. Whether it's sisig or any Filipino dishes, each region has its own versions. So I would like to try as much as possible, as long as my body allows me to do.
Okay, we do hope that you get to try more. Ambassador to the Philippines, Endo Kazuya, Japanese Ambassador, thank you so much, sir, for your time and for granting this interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. And
thank you, sir.
Thank you.